Well, during this worldwide pandemic, golf, with some exceptions, has been one of the recreational sports that people have been able to continue playing. And while perhaps not thriving here in Indiana, the game and courses and clubs are at least surviving. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Gary, thanks. With many safety and social distancing precautions in place, golfers have returned to most area courses, certainly not in normal spring numbers, but they are back nonetheless, generating much-needed revenues and perhaps as importantly, much-needed recreational activity outside of the home. And joining us today via Skype to offer perspective is the longtime executive director of the Indiana Golf Association, Mike David. And Mike, welcome to the program. Again, as we talked about before the interview, Indiana was luckier than most states in the fact that when we all shut down, golf in most Indiana counties continued.
Yeah, that's true, Bill. Obviously, Marion County was one that did have to close down for a while, and we had a couple of other pockets that were not allowed to open, but for the most part, we did function, and the golf courses were open throughout.
Talk about some of the protocols, the best practices, and I know the IGA has been championing that and certainly communicating with courses statewide about some of those things. And I think the one that most obviously comes to mind is one person per cart, but other precautions that are being taking place.
Yeah, we've done the best job we can at sharing best practices and encouraging our member courses and our PGA members to follow those guidelines that are out there. But as you mentioned, one rider per cart, not touching the flag sticks, using either the pool noodles or PVC pipes in the cup so the ball only falls a couple inches in and it can be easily retrieved with 2 fingers without putting your whole hand down in the cup. Rakes have been removed from golf courses. Water coolers have been removed. So basically any potential touch point, why we've tried to eliminate to make it as safe as possible during these times.
Mike, it's interesting. I live nearby a couple of golf courses, and again, even when the weather has been not good, and we've had some pretty iffy spring weather, they've seemed to be remarkably busy. And again, I know it's not at normal levels, but still business has been pretty good.
Yeah, you know, all things considered, I think you're absolutely correct. I think there's a pent-up desire that a lot of people have right now just to get outside and to be active. And fortunately, Governor Holcomb said from the beginning that he encouraged people to get out, and golf has been allowed to continue to function. And we have seen a lot of people taking advantage of it without a doubt.
And of course, golf is, at one of its basic premises, it is a social sport. Again, it's competitive and you have a lot of things going on, but it is a social sport at its core.
Yeah, no doubt. I've played a handful of times during this 6-week period or so, and walked and carried clubs and played with a few other people. And it's easy to practice social distancing on the golf course and still have a good time, still carry on a conversation. And honestly, I felt a lot safer on the golf course than pumping gas or going to the grocery store or some other things that you can do right now.
Mike, the IGA does, you run a number of tournaments. You have an ambitious junior program. Have you made any determination about when and if some of those events and tournaments can take place?
Yeah, we actually are working with the Indiana Golf Course Owners Association right now, and we've come up with a pretty comprehensive plan for when we can get back open from a tournament standpoint, but also to help golf courses in knowing, when they can have 2 people in a cart, when they can put rates back on the golf course. So we are getting ready to submit that to the governor's office. Hopefully we'll have a reply next week, but ultimately our goal is to start functioning again with our first tee clinics and our tournaments the last week of May.
Yeah, I was going to ask about first tee because it's a great program to introduce golfers statewide to the game, and I assume that's on at least temporary hold.
Yeah, it is right now, but we think again by the end of May, especially with first tee, because you're normally talking less than 25 kids in a clinic. Again, we'll have social distancing guidelines in place. You won't see any high fives or hugs or handshakes for a while, but we still think we can operate safely and responsibly. We're in 320 elementary schools statewide now, Bill, with the first tee. We're in 18 different communities across the state and reaching over 100,000 kids annually. So it's a tremendous program, not only teaching the game of golf, but the life skills and the nine core values that go along with it.
Hey, Mike, quickly as we wrap up, and this probably doesn't, it's a tough question for a short answer, but you know, the economy is taking a hit. Discretionary income is going to be less for a lot of people. Do you think golf can weather that storm?
You know, I think it can weather the storm. I think that, you know, you may see some courses having to severely cut back on staffing. Hopefully they'll all be able to stay open. I think the big hit probably this year is going to be from an outings standpoint and for the fundraising events. Hopefully those events aren't hit too hard, but I know there's some concern out there in the industry about how it's going to be this summer.
Well, Mike David of the Indiana Golf Association, again, longtime executive director, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to come on the air, and we look forward to seeing you on the first tee somewhere.
Thanks, Bill.
Gary, back to you.